God knows everything. Everything. He knows it all. You say, well, sure, of course He knows everything. But so many times we put onto God the same constraints that we feel. We get anxious. What's going to happen tomorrow? Oh, God, what's going to happen? He's not anxious. He knows. Or how could this ever work out? God, how could this ever work? He knows. He has woven together the threads of your life. I mean, imagine trying to orchestrate and organize all of the human interactions, between your parents and then your grandparents and great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents. Imagine trying to organize all of that so that you would be born. You'd be anxious all the time. You would say, oh, will they say the right thing? Will they woo this particular woman? Will they propose? Will she say yes? Will the wedding go off? Will they? All these kinds of things. Just so that you would be born. God knew. He knew your name, and He knew He would draw you through Jesus to know Him and to come to Him. So practically, we must believe this and then respond to it. Number one, by seeking God, and number two, by proclaiming and praising Him. Those are the two responses. And so this verse in Daniel 2:20 is from the story of Daniel, and Daniel was living in slavery. The nation of Israel had been destroyed. The people had been carted off into slavery. And so this is one of those nail-biting seasons that went on for decades where you might say, what is God doing? How can God ever work this out? And yet in the midst of this, here's Daniel, and Daniel is given supernatural wisdom by God, right? The king says, I'm going to kill all of the wise men if none of them can tell me what my dream means. And he might have even said, you have to tell me what I dreamed. I don't remember if this is that story, but either way, Daniel knew that his life was on the line, and a lot of other people's lives were on the line, and they were in the midst of a season in their nation's history where nothing was working out, and yet he believed that this wasn't outside the realm of God's wisdom. It wasn't outside what God had planned for and knew about. And so Daniel prayed, and God gave supernatural wisdom. Sometimes God illuminates a moment like this, and sometimes that's not how He gives His wisdom. But regardless, Daniel decided that God was the fountain. He was the source, and Daniel went to Him. And so the number one response is acknowledge and go to God for wisdom. Not your friends, not the news, not social media, not your own history. Go to God for wisdom. And we, brothers and sisters, we must receive this for ourselves. We must confess where we have fallen in this, and we must be honest with the kids. We can't say, you should go to God, when we never do. When we just go to people and ask them to confirm our own opinions, right? Number one, if God knows everything, we must go to Him for wisdom. And number two, here in this verse, Daniel is singing a song. He breaks out of his chambers in the morning and goes skipping down the hall singing a song. Of course he does, because God gave him supernatural wisdom. He says, blessed be the name of God forever and ever, to whom belong wisdom and might. Right? He knows everything, and He has the power to do good from what He knows. And Daniel says, whoa. And when we see the wisdom of God, whether it's the way He has worked out things in a situation this week, or whether it's in the way He has drawn us to know Him through Jesus Christ, whether it's the way that we see the blessings of God through our family history, or whatever, even just living in a society where we can study the Scriptures and we can worship the Lord, without having to do it in secret, and we can stand on the shoulders of so many good, wise teachers, right? Bless the Lord. Bless Him for what He has done in His good wisdom. Thank Him for what He has revealed. Let's not waste our breath in questioning. I'm not saying that a question is wrong. I'm just saying when God reveals Himself, let us spend our breath in worship. Blessed be the name of God forever and ever, to whom belongs wisdom and might. That is what we should do. We should seek Him and we should praise Him when we really grasp that God knows everything.